Hey guys, in this video we will learn how to create a user registration form in React, and whenever we will submit this form, React is going to send the data to our WordPress website using WordPress API, and the new user is going to be inserted in our website's database. So as a quick demo here, let me see in the console, pay attention to the console too. I'm going to insert a new user, so let's name it admin1 and then the email admin1@mail.com. Let's say display name website admin. So whenever I click submit, pay attention to the console, click submit, and we see in the console it's saying user inserted. Now if I go back and refresh this page, this is my WordPress dashboard, we can see that the new user is being inserted in our website's database. Now my website is installed, WordPress is installed on a subdomain, which is wp.ruvictor.com, and my React app is on my local host. You can build this form on any other domain you have, and you can use this functionality whatever you want. This is the meaning of this application, that you can have a WordPress installed somewhere else, and you can just create another React app or a mobile app, or you can create another React page wherever you want, and you can use the same data you have on your website using WordPress REST APIs. So this is what we will be building in this tutorial. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, I'm not gonna show you how to install WordPress because I'm assuming you already know, but after you install WordPress, you will need to install two other plugins. The first one is JSON API, a RESTful API for WordPress, and then the second one is JSON API User. This one extends the JSON API for RESTful user registration. So I'm gonna leave these links in the description where you can find these plugins in case you will want to use them. And I'm also using Visual Studio, which has a terminal integrated here. So right now I'm gonna stop the local machine. I'm gonna go back a level, and I'm gonna create another React app. I will name it, let's say, WordPress React Register User. Now this is gonna take a while, so I'm just gonna pause the video and I'll replay it whenever it's done. Alright, so it looks like it's done. I'm gonna npm, let's see. So I'm gonna navigate to WordPress. WordPress React Registration User. Okay, and here I'm gonna start the local machine. So this should open up my browser with a new tab. Okay, here should be our new React app. It's kind of slow. And about these plugins, guys, if you want to, so I've already said that I'm gonna leave a link in the description. I would really recommend you to check their documentation, because they have here some examples. They tell you more about these plugins and what other stuff you can do with them. Both of them are really useful plugins. So as we see here, our React app is being installed successfully. Now I'm gonna add this folder to my Visual Studio. Okay, so this is under my, let's say, React. So this is my folder. I'm gonna add it in our public. I am using Bootstrap here in my example, so I'm gonna go to Bootstrap website, click on that, click on documentation. Under the quick start, I'm gonna copy this URL from here, actually like that, and then I'm gonna paste it in my go under public and then index HTML. Now I'm gonna remove these comments from here because I don't really like them there, and here I am gonna paste this code. This is gonna include Bootstrap in my application. Now I'm gonna get rid of these comments as well. I will save this file. If I go back, I see my application is working, everything is fine. Now I want to find a Bootstrap form. Some examples. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this example from here in my React app. But before I do that, I'm gonna close this index.html. I'm not gonna need it anymore. So under our source folder, there's gonna be app.js. Now from here we want to, I am gonna remove, if you want you can leave them, but I'm gonna remove the app CSS file and the logo. So, and then next in my return function, I'm gonna get rid of everything else. I'll just leave div class name app. I'm gonna say hi for now, and then here the logo is gonna go away. Logo, I had app CSS too. So if I save it like that and go back, I can see that there's it's my text, which is hi. Now here we will be working our app.js file. We won't have another file. We will have a component here. So instead of function, we will have here class app, and this is gonna extend component, and we also want to import component in our import line. Wherever we import React, we want to add component to, and then here wherever we have our return, actually this return needs to be in a render function, so we will do this. Like that. Now here we will have a constructor. So we have constructor for our state. We will have state because we will have 3 fields. There's going to be the field for username, email, and then the display name. And we will also bind these in the constructor. So let's go ahead and, well, first of all, let's just create our form. So this is going to be easier for you to understand how everything works. So here we will have our form. I'm just going to copy everything I have on this Bootstrap example, and I will paste it in my div class name app. I'll paste everything here. Okay, I'm gonna remove this checkbox, and then here I will add another field. The first one is gonna be for the username, so I'll put here username, type text, form control example input. I'm gonna leave it that way. Email help, enter username. I'm gonna get rid of this small tag. Wherever we have password, I'm gonna put display name. Okay, everything looks fine. Now I'm gonna add some functionality here. So let me just save this, and as we see, we have some errors because I didn't change the class name. It needs to be, I didn't change class to class name. So I'm gonna do that really quick. And then there's another error which is saying, let me look at the page. Okay, for This should be this one needs to be HTML4. Where is it? Okay, so we also should close this input placeholder, display name. Oh, here I should have component. Sorry about that, guys, make so many mistakes. So we have component here. Now if I save it, now everything should be fine. If we go back, we should have this form. Now what we will create another folder in our source. So let's name it style, and here we'll create a new file which is gonna be style.css. And in this file we will add some padding to our app class. Let's have here padding. Actually, let's do display table with 100%. Max width is gonna be 600 pixels, and then margin on top is gonna be 100 pixels, on the sides is gonna be alpha, and then on the bottom is gonna be 0. So let's save it, and if we go back, we actually didn't import it in our app.js, so now in our app.js we should import style.css file. So we save it now. There's an error and can't resolve because I misspelled it. Okay, so now we can see that our form is being aligned at the center of the page, which makes it easier for us to work. So we have under username, under email, and display name. I'm gonna minify this terminal. So now we should create a functionality for this form. As I already said, we will have states. So let's create our constructor. And then here we have super, and then here we have this state, and here we have our states, which is username, it's empty by default. We have the email, which is also empty, and then we have the display name, which is also empty. Now in our form, wherever we have our fields, we should add, I forgot to add here, there should be a name. This is going to be username, and then the value we will have here this state username, and on change we will call on change means whenever we will type in something in this field, we will call another function, if we can say it like that, or a method which is going to be handle change. So we have here on change, let's say this handle change, like that. Now I'm gonna do the same thing for the second and for the third field. Here is gonna be the email, so we replace the username with email. The handle change is gonna stay the same. I'm gonna do the same thing for the display name field. Display name. Okay. Seems like there's an error. Let's see, what's the problem here? So there is a problem, maybe a typo in the method name. Of course I misspelled this one, so I will get a problem. So here should be constructor. You probably already saw it, guys, but so I'm gonna save it like that. So there's everything fine. Now if I will inspect this page and I'm gonna go on the React tab, you can install this, or this is a Chrome extension. Actually there's an error, failed to prop type, you provided a value pro. Okay, so if I'm going under React tab, and you can see here I have the app, and on the right side are my states. Now if I type in anything here, I cannot actually type in because I didn't bind them. I didn't bind these. So here I'm gonna do these. Actually also forgot we should create our handle change method before we do that. So in order to do that, we should bind first of all this in our class. So we have here, let's say, handle change equal to this, or not equal, but we assign it handle change bind this. Okay, so on below this constructor we have our handle change method, and we get the event here. Now here we will have another variable which is going to be the target, and we assign the event target here. We also have the value. This is the field's value, so we have target value, and then here we have the name. This is the value from the field's name, because each this field has a name parameter here, attribute, however you want to call it. So we have name, and we assign target name. Now below we want to update our state, so we will do this set state. I don't know what's going on with me today, but I'm misspelling a lot of stuff. Okay, we have it in this way, set state, and here we have name, and we assign the value to the state name. Okay, now if I save it and go back and we refresh this state, now we should see that our state changes whenever we type in anything in our field. So in our username state, you can see that there is the value appearing there on the right side. Under email, same thing, and under display name, the same thing. Alright, so everything looks fine till this point. Now we want to, so now we are able to insert all this data, and all this data is being saved in our state. Now we want to handle the change, and then after that, whenever we submit this form, we want to send all this data to our WordPress website. So here we will have another method which is gonna be handle submit, and we will add this handle submit under in our form tag. So to do that, let's go ahead and click on our form tag, and we will add here on submit, and here is gonna be this and this, and here we will have our method or function, you can call it however it's easier for you. which is gonna handle all the data from this form after we click on that submit button. So we have handle submit. Now let's go ahead and create this handle submit under our below our handle change. So we'll have handle submit. We will have the event, and here we will prevent the default event. So I have e prevent default, and then below here we should so if you know how WordPress works, because most of the WordPress forms, they have a nonce. Whenever you log in or register user, there's a nonce. The nonce is let's say it's like a token from the WordPress website. So this token has been saved in on the server in the server session. As an example, it's been saved in the server session, and the same token is being outputted in your browser in the front end wherever you have your form. And whenever somebody submits the form, if that nonce or that token is also on the server, that means that's a secure submission. If it's different than the one in the form, then that means that there is something wrong, or somebody's trying to do something something bad for our to our website or on our website. So in order for us to get that nonce, we should have another call. We should have first call to our WordPress website using WordPress RESTful API and get that nonce. And then having that nonce, we will have another API call, and we will insert all this data using this nonce. So this nonce is like a key. Now to do that, I'm gonna create another method, and this method is gonna be, I'm gonna call it get WordPress nonce. And I'm gonna install Axios here, because using Axios, that's how I'm gonna call this API. Axios is very, it makes it easier for developers to interact or work with APIs. So I'm gonna stop my local machine, and I'm gonna type in npm install Axios -- save, and this is gonna take a while, so I'm gonna pause the video. Alright, looks like everything is fine. I'm just gonna start the local machine again, and now we will import Axios in our app.js. It's kind of slow, guys, but it works. Okay, it works. Now let's go ahead and import our Axios in our app.js file. So here on top we should say import Axios from Axios, like that. Now in our get WordPress nonce, we want to use this Axios to call this API. So as I already said, you may want to guys to check those plugins documentation, because they have different kinds of methods you can interact with their API. But here I will have Axios.get, and from here I'm gonna get the API. I'm gonna get a nonce. So here we should have this URL. I'm just gonna paste it like that. So we have, this is your domain or your subdomain wherever you have your WordPress installed, and then you have /API. This works only if you installed and activated those two plugins. So we have the domain /API / get nonce / controller, and we assign to the controller user. So we are using the user controller here, and and method equal to register. So actually, if you copy this URL and open a new tab in your browser and paste it there and press enter, you can see that this website is gonna return a JSON file, which is gonna have the status, controller, method, and then the nonce. This is the nonce I was talking about that's been stored on the server. So using this URL, we get a nonce here. Now after this one, we have then res, which means the response, and here we have this. So actually, after we get this nonce, it's being saved in our response variable. So we have it here right now. Now here I'm gonna console log. I'm gonna console log the res.data, so we can see that everything works fine. Now here I'm gonna catch any error that's gonna appear. Okay, I'm gonna console log it. Okay, so I'm gonna save it like that. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna inspect it. Okay, if I'm going under the console, so if I fill up this form and I click on submit button, nothing happens. Let's see why. Well, that's because we didn't call this method yet here. So let's in our handle submit. So we'll do this. We'll do here this dot get WordPress nonce, and I'm gonna save it now here. I'm gonna go back. This probably been refreshed, but I'm gonna refresh it one more time. So if I click on submit, we see here we get an error. Get WordPress nonce of undefined. So I can't find it. Okay, seems like there's an error. So get WordPress nonce. Let's see. So I think that's because we didn't bind this for handle submit. So let's go ahead and do the same thing here in our constructor wherever we have our handle change. So let's do handle submit. Okay, let's save it now. Let's go back, refresh it, and we want to insert a new user. If I click submit, now we can see in our console that we have the data. We get the data from WordPress. Now, if you get any errors from the because it may not work, you may get some errors about let's say let me see. I'm just gonna show you what kind of error you may get and how to fix it. I'm gonna connect to the server. Okay, so here's my WordPress installation. In my htaccess, I had to add this access control allow origin for. I had to add these headers because if I remove them from here, And if I save it, okay, if I go back and click submit, I'm gonna get this kind of error: access to XML HTTP request at origin has been blocked by CORS policy. So that's why, because our server doesn't accept this kind of request. In order for it to accept, you may want to add these 2 lines in your htaccess file. Okay, so I saved it now. If I go back and click submit one more time, I can see that I get the result with no errors here. Alright guys, let's go back to our function. So here we handle the change. We get a nonce here. Now we should create another method which is gonna insert the data into the database, or it's gonna send the data to the WordPress website. And to do that, we will have another handler. Handlers, let's say insert data, and we will get the nonce here. And we will call this method in our, so we have here then. So below this we will say, that's where after we call and get the nonce, we will call this insert data method. So using this let's say using this token, we can insert the data. So we have this insert data. Okay, this way now in our insert data we will have another Axios call, Axios get. So here we will have our domain, which is HTTP, in my case wp-ruvictor.com, and there's /API /user /register / there's the question mark, and now we have the data we want to insert. So there's the username, and this username is gonna come from our state. So we will have this state username. This is because whenever we type in anything in our fields, that data is being saved in our states in here. So we have here the username, and then we have the email. So there's an email. This state email, and then here we will have our we will have the nonce. So here we have the nonce. This nonce comes from here because we send as a parameter, but actually I think we didn't add it to our, whenever we call this method here as a parameter, we should have a response data, and then there should be the nonce, and we call this method here and we send the nonce to this method. So let's go back here, we have the nonce, and then here we will have another parameter which is going to be display name. We will have display name and then the protocol. So we have display name equal to we have here this state display name. Just make sure everything is the same as you have in the states. Okay, and then here we will have another variable which is gonna be insecure because I'm not using any htaccess and I'm not using any SSL, or I'm not using HTTPS, so I'll be adding another variable which is going to be insecure equal cool. Alright, and then here we have then function, and here we have to get a response. So response, and then here we have to, let's say, console log, and here we will say user inserted, and then if there's any error we want to catch it, and it's going to be error, and we will show it in the console log error dot response. Okay, so again response here. All this URL, so this is an example of how you can use that. That's all this functionality is being provided by those two plugins which I installed on my website. So check the documentation and see more examples on how you can use this stuff. So now if I save it and if I go back, my application has been refreshed. So if I insert here anything and click submit, I get an error name not resolved. So it seems like I misspelled something again. I forgot to add an and. So if I go back here, wherever I have my nonce, I didn't add an and symbol because these are variables. Okay, I'll save it. Gonna go back and try one more time. I'm still getting this error. Because I misspelled the domain. You probably guys saw it already, but I've been so tired. That's why I'm making so many mistakes and misspellings. So let's try one more time. So if I click submit, it tells me now, it shows me the nonce here, and then it tells me the user has been inserted. So if I go back under my user list, I see that there is a new user inserted here. So let me just insert another one which is going to have a different username. Let's say first user, and then the email, say user1, and display name, let's say user1. If I click submit, it's telling me that there's an error just because there is already a username already exists. So there is already a username of this one. I don't know where this goes. So let's say user1, click submit, and we can say it says user inserted. Now if I go back and refresh it, I can see the user1 is being inserted, user1@mail.com, and then the role is subscriber. So that's it guys for this tutorial. Remember, this is just it's a simple example on how you can use WordPress RESTful APIs using them with React, and how to secure these calls, because this nonce is the key that this is how you can get to WordPress data and how to insert data. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, or if you saw that I didn't do something right or correct here, where I did some mistakes, just feel free to provide your tips, because I'm also learning, and that's why I provide this kind of videos, so we can learn together. Thank you very much, and see you in the next tutorials.